JFCS has a long and treasured history of providing service to our community's most vulnerable members.
You know, I have a better perspective now of what the agency did then than I had then. I see now that the agency then and continues to provide services to people in Tucson that really need them. Those were wonderful things, and I'm really proud that I was able to be a part of the agency. And as I said, I see that better now than I did then.
Since 1941, JFCS has helped families in crisis, children with challenges, teens as they grow into adulthood, people with disabilities, frail and elderly adults, victims of trauma or abuse. And we help provide our neighbors with the basic necessities for life and dignity.
20 years ago, I was resettled by Jewish Family and Children Services here in Tucson, and I'm very thankful for that. 7 years ago, I was hired as a Russian-speaking case manager for Holocaust survivors, and a few months later, I became a program manager. We provide home care services. We provide financial assistance for all medical necessities, utilities, home repairs, whatever the survivors needs, we are helping them.
JFCS started out as serving primarily the Jewish community initially, but then expanded to the entire community. And that's been the modus operandi of operating the agency, that it does serve the entire community. I think too few people really understand that.
I believe we always stepped to the plate when an issue or a need came up, whether it was in the Jewish community or the general community. Our resettlement program for the Soviet Jews, plus our program for the Ethiopian boys, our lost boys, just fell into place. We were ready to do whatever our community needed.
At JFCS, we have always aspired to build a community in which all families and individuals are empowered, self-sufficient, and capable of overcoming challenges, and we offer our services regardless of their ability to pay.
We arrived from Flint, Michigan in the 60s, and my mother immediately wanted to get involved with JFCS because my parents believed that when you live in a community and you take from that community, you must give back to that community.
JFCS is guided by the Jewish traditions of Tikkun Olam, or healing the world, with chesed, or loving kindness, and through tzedakah, the doing of just and charitable deeds.
It's not alone in our mission of Tikkun Olam, of saving or helping the world. I believe that we will continue to be relevant, not only because of that mission, but because we are continuing to look at what programs we should provide because of what the community
When we had this little office, JFCS on Plummer, there was a tremendous need in the city to serve Tucson families. So there was this idea, wouldn't it be nice to have a counseling center where everyone could come who's in crisis, a safe harbor for people to come and have services.
Well, I think the biggest deal for me during my presidency was the fact that we put together a capital campaign and raised the necessary dollars to acquire and renovate the building, which is now, the home of Jewish Family and Children's Service. So I worked with Jim Whitehill in particular, and with major contributions from the Sarver family, from the Zuckerman family, and many others. We were able to raise the money quickly, acquire the building, get it done, and start doing business.
In 1980, my parents did the Gary I. Sarver Counseling Center. And little did my mother know that her soulmate, her beloved husband Jack, would die a month later.
We have made a real difference in our community.
Our vision plan that we established 2.5 years ago identified the agency to be the agency of choice for mental health and community services in the community, as well as an employer of choice for our staff, which meant that we wanted to recruit the top clinical people in the community to deliver the highest quality of services to the people that we serve.
In my opinion, as the community needs increase, we have to look to various areas in the community to continue to support the services that JFCS provides to the Jewish and general community.
JFCS at one time had, I think, in excess of 80% of its revenue coming from federal grants, and they had dried up would be a polite thing to say. So we recognized that and had before talked about accepting insurance, and under Cher's leadership that was pursued, and today that's a very large part of our revenue and a growing part of our revenue, because we know that we will have to generate our own revenue to continue to be a viable organization.
Because the needs 25 years from now will be very different from what they are now, but there will still be needs. And as long as we're able to change with the times and be able to get the funding and the support that we need to keep the agency going, that would be fabulous.
It's taken 75 years of dedication, hard work, and devotion by literally hundreds of staff members, therapists, volunteers, and a board of directors that has historically read like the who's who of Tucson leadership, community engagement, and philanthropy.
One of the reasons that I really believe that JFCS has to succeed and has to continue is that we are a part of the whole community.
I grew up in this community. I've known Jewish Family and Children's Services since I was born. Betty and Ben Brook were friends of my parents. I watched the agency grow for the last 75 years, even though I'm only 65 years old. So the ability to watch and see it mature and be the dream that it began 75 years ago is really what makes me satisfied and inspired to do what we do every day.
We provide needed services that aren't provided by anybody else. Our value of Tikkun Olam extends to the whole community, and it's really needed. If we don't do it, who will?
So Yasher Koach, tonight we celebrate our 75 years of success, and tomorrow we start making the next 75 even better.